Very much, Yasmin, and thanks for for organising this. And I think it's a very, very important meeting, and everything that we can do for the Palestinians, it's essential that we do, because I think we're in a very critical position at the moment in terms of left-wing politics in Britain on this particular issue. If you look at what has happened to Palestinian rights in terms of the politics of this country, they have now been used as collateral damage. They've been treated as collateral damage by the Labour right in its war on Jeremy Corbyn. And that means, therefore, that the situation which we all welcomed 5 years ago when Jeremy became leader of the Labour Party, and somebody who's got a lifelong commitment to anti-war politics and to Palestinian rights, actually we found it became harder to make the case for Palestinian rights, precisely because of this onslaught from the right wing, both the Tory right wing, the media, and of course Labour's right wing as well, who are very, very committed to the whole Zionist project. So I think it's important for us to understand how important this is. It's particularly important that we consider it today when we find that actually there's an escalation that has gone on in the Middle East today with the assassination of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, one of the leading nuclear scientists in Iran, who was killed. It's being pretty openly said that he was killed by Mossad, the Israeli secret service, and he was given the green light for this by Donald Trump. So much as I agree with everything that Ben said in the first contribution, I think actually Trump unfortunately hasn't yet left office. And I think we need to be very, very wary about any escalation like this, which is going on, because we have Israel, we have Saudi Arabia allied with the US in terms of confrontation with Iran. And this can lead to a very, very dangerous conflict over the next few weeks. And are we then supposed to say that we're not allowed to criticize what Israel is doing? Are we then supposed to say, if there is a major conflict in the Middle East, that we're not able to discuss these questions at all? That is a complete abrogation of all our responsibility as socialists, as an anti-war movement, as everything else. And Trump has moved the politics around Palestine very, very much to the right in his term of office. The moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, the encouragement of the settlements, the annexation of the West Bank, all of these things that have gone on. Do we seriously think that Biden and Starmer are going to make any changes over these questions? So I think we have to be clear that this isn't just a question of solidarity with the Palestinians. It's also a question about what is happening with geopolitics in the Middle East and the very, very serious situation that we find there. In terms of the witch hunt that has been going on in Labour, many of us said when the IHRA definition was adopted by Labour's NEC, we said this would be the beginning of much, much more of a witch hunt against the left. And actually, we're finding this is more and more the case. And I don't suppose many of us would have perhaps thought that by now Jeremy Corbyn would be suspended from the whip, and for a time was suspended from the party. But there's also other things which I regard as completely unacceptable. I've been reading in recent days the argument that the marvelous demonstration that took place at the Labour conference 2 years ago, when everybody flew Palestinian flags, there were hundreds of flags flying in the conference hall, this made Jewish people uncomfortable. This argument is being put, you can't show solidarity with the Palestinians because this will make other people, it will make Jewish people in particular and other people who don't support the Palestinians uncomfortable. This is an unacceptable argument, just as the argument that is now going on that anybody who supports Jeremy Corbyn, also this can lead to anti-Semitism because it makes Jewish people feel uncomfortable. It's not true. And it's an insult, I think, to Jewish people overall to really talk in these kind of terms, because it suggests that every Jewish person is opposed to Jeremy Corbyn. Now, we know, not just from Leah who's spoken, other Jewish speakers on the platform tonight, but we know that many, many Jewish people do not agree with what Israel is doing, are in full solidarity with the Palestinians. And this is an argument we have to keep making. You can oppose anti-Semitism, as all of us should do, and you can recognise that anti-Semitism exists in the Labour Party, although I agree very much with Jeremy Corbyn that it has been exaggerated, the extent of the anti-Semitism, but as he says, one anti-Semite is one anti-Semite too many. So you can recognise that and you can fight against anti-Semitism. At the same time, you have to show solidarity with the Palestinians. And these two things are different issues, and we shouldn't confuse these issues. And it's quite possible to show solidarity with the Palestinians at the same time as being an implacable opponent of anti-Semitism. We have to be able to do that. Final point I'd like to make is this. What is happening now inside Labour, and not just inside Labour, but backed up by the BBC, by the media, by the Tories, whose record on racism really doesn't bear any examination. When you look at what they're doing, this is a witch hunt. There is only one way to defeat a witch hunt, which is that you have to stand up against it. You have to stand up and be counted. You have to say you are not going to be silenced by what they're trying to do. You have to say you are prepared to fight over these issues. And this is the thing that we have to commit ourselves to tonight. I hope that everybody will support the PSC activity over the weekend in solidarity with the Palestinians, but I hope also that we will support the people both in and outside the Labour Party who are opposing the witch hunt and are doing their best to stand up against it. They deserve our solidarity. If we do not do it, we will get the IHRA definition forced on all sorts of other organisations, and it is a definition which is very, very controversial in every sense. So we have to stand up against the witch hunt. We have to stand up and be counted, and we have to say that Palestine solidarity remains a central issue for those of us on the left and for those of us in the solidarity and in the anti-war movements.
Thank you so much, Lindsey. And especially thank you for your attention to the complexity and the nuance of the regional context around Palestine, and your affirmation of the very simple truth that anti-Zionism is not the same as anti-Semitism.